People's Democratic Party in Rivers State has gone ahead with its ward congresses, defying two court orders that sought to stop the exercise. The congresses, which were held on Saturday, saw party members gathering at the PDP Secretariat along Aba Road in Port Harcourt to collect materials for distribution to their various wards. The PDP in Rivers State has been embroiled in a bitter power struggle in recent weeks, with different factions vying for control of the party. National leadership of the People's Democratic Party, in a letter written to Independent National Electoral Commission, has announced the postponement of its ward and local government area congresses in Abia and Ebonyi states, which were earlier scheduled for Saturday, July 27. The postponement, according to the letter, jointly signed by the acting national chairman of the party, Ambassador Omar Damagum, and National Secretary, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, was due to operational challenges. In Enugu State, Governor Peter Mba lauded the PDP World Congress, describing it as a huge success. He said the process was peaceful, free, fair, and credible. Chairman of the 5-man Congress Electoral Committee for Enugu State, Tony Iyoha, who monitored the exercise across the 260 electoral wards of the state, commended party members for the peaceful and transparent exercise, saying the strength of the party was at the grassroots. In Gombe State, a sense of excitement and renewal filled the air as the People's Democratic Party held its ward-level Congress. The exercise, which began early in the morning, saw a remarkable turnout of delegates eager to participate in the democratic process. According to the PDP's public relations officer, Abdurrahman Zuan, the Congress was smooth with no reports of violence or disruption. In Kogi State, the caretaker committee of Kogi State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, led by Senator Danjuma La, and the chairman of the Congress Committee have suspended the World Congress in the state earlier scheduled for Saturday, July 27, 2024. A statement signed by the Publicity Secretary of the Caretaker Committee, Chief Dayo Akande, said the indefinite suspension of the exercise followed the carting away of sensitive voting materials for the World Congress by a group of unknown persons in the full glare of INEC observers present. Barrister Sims, brief summation of different states and what transpired at the PDP congresses. What is your take? Which state stands out for you? Which state do you want to react to first?
I think that of Rivers State, because I reside here. And I was with some friends yesterday who some were bitter, some were jubilating that the World Congress was a successful one, while the others were saying that that World Congress, there was no World Congress, because there was a court or two court orders preventing them from holding that World Congress. So before you knew what was going on, we heard another from news again from Abuja to say that the national body has dissolved, the local government, I mean the states, caretaker committees or PDP, as case may be. That news went viral yesterday on social media. I read it too, but I was just laughing. I said, well, this is the situation. This is politics in Nigeria. I want to ask a question. Why is it that Rivers State things are always very different? That's the question I asked some of my friends. None of them has no to answer. The next they say it's wicked. I said, no, one man cannot create, a problem like this so you put in the state. The state has a problem, and that's a foundational problem that the state has only taken issues into perspective and, try to solve. Now, what happened yesterday is this. If you want to follow the law, who authorizes the World Congress to hold? Is it not the national body that will say, okay, this is the date we are doing a national World Congress? Did they ask them to stop that World Congress yesterday? I don't think there's any letter to that particular effect. The only concern I have is this. There were two court orders, that I heard, was issued before, stopping them from conducting that particular Congress on Saturday 27th. Now, the question I want to ask is this. Have they been able to vacate those two orders of court? I don't know. Until and unless, that particular or those orders are vacated, I am saying with due respect, my opinion, legal opinion here is this, that exercise is incoherent, is incomplete. So the advice is that maybe they had a state of execution of the particular order, or maybe they've gotten an appeal on it. Otherwise, let it not be like what happened in Plateau State. Because the same PDP in Plateau State had this kind of problem, where they lobotomize themselves, and at the end of the day, when they woke up from their lobotomy, they found out that, there was non-existent positions for them. The courts now declared their seats vacant as not the rightful owners that should be members of the House of Assembly of Plateau State. Now, what happened was this. A similar thing played out itself. The elections were fixed for ward, and all those, whatever, and the primary CTC, state, whatever as case may be. So people went to court and now got restraining orders from the PDP and from the court, against the PDP conducting any of those particular elections. You understand? Mm-hmm. They did not set aside or vacate those orders. They now went ahead to now conduct, you understand the point, and the elections or Congress as the case may be. They did everything, even presented candidates for election, the last election, House of Assembly especially, and that of House of Reps. That is where you find out that some people now, this former governor of the state, I have forgotten his name, now became a senator. Otherwise, he lost that election in the APC PDP election senatorial in his district. You understand? But later, what happened when the Court of Appeal now heard that, look, every exercise that was conducted by you people before the elections of 2023 were null and void because you refused to obey the court orders restraining you from doing that particular primaries. You understand the point now? Mm-hmm. So any fruit from that particular primaries produced by that primaries was null and void. That is what the court said. And by virtue of that, those PDP men who were the ones that were duly elected by the people lost their seat in the Senate. And the ex-governor of Plateau State, now became the winner and is in Senate today. Because the court now said that the second person that had the highest vote should take over. And in Plateau State House of Assembly, the same thing. So all PDP, members that went through that particular, primary processes, whereas there was an existing court order, lost their seats. So they should draw a lesson from that. So that if there are two orders against your not conducting that election or World Congress elections yesterday, in my opinion, I thought that they would have set that particular order aside, either by way of execution or vacate that particular order for them to now go ahead and conduct. So if you conduct the election and the courts have said so, and you have not set aside those particular orders, I'm sorry, with due respect, that exercise might not hold water.
All right.
Yes.
Well, Barrister Sims, now, in the case of the court setting aside the River State's PDP Congress,
yes,
in the first instance, the first court was the State High Court that gave that order.
Yes.
And then the matter was taken to Federal High Court.
Yes.
And the Federal High Court said that the Congresses should hold.
Okay.
And also barred both the state and the police and DSS and all of that from in any way stopping that Congress from holding. And then barely few hours or a day to the Congresses yesterday, another court order from the state now came up. The question I want to ask is, part of the concerns or the arguments, in different quarters is that the state high court does not have the jurisdiction to stop the Congress. They do not have the jurisdiction to even entertain this matter in the first place. So, in your opinion, your legal expertise, does the state high court have the right to entertain this matter and give that order?
You see, that is going to be an argument that will get to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
That's the way I'm seeing it. Now, let me tell you what happened, because a lot of people don't really know this jurisdiction state and a federal high court. Now, let me give you a little history of what happened. Okay. Talking about jurisdiction vis-a-vis two courts of coordinate jurisdiction. You have the state high court, you have the federal high court. The federal high court before were known as revenue courts. Okay. They were not, courts like you have the National Industrial Court now. The federal high courts were known as revenue courts. It was during the era of Babangida that he converted revenue courts to federal high courts for the purpose as at that time to serve, to see a court that the federal government will own exclusively, that they can dictate to as at that time. That was where they got all those orders, Basi Ikpeme order and the rest of them. The orders that Babangida got to annul the election was from a federal high court, because the court was under his control and that of his administration at that time as a military officer. Now, in the year 1999 or pre-1999, a particular section which has been in existence of the Constitution called Section 251 now gave exclusive jurisdiction. You understand? Section 251 says the courts are courts of coordinate jurisdiction. High Court of the state, Federal High Court, they are all courts of coordinate jurisdiction. And they have unlimited jurisdiction. Under our Constitution, the state High Court has unlimited jurisdiction before now. But when Section 251 was now amended, they now included Section 251 PQROS. And that Section 251 PQROS of the 1999 Constitution now gave exclusive jurisdiction to the Federal High Court over the states on issues that were. What is that PQ, the subsection PQROS talking about? He says that any issue that involves a federal agency, okay. Once you have a federal agency in any litigation in Nigeria here, that the Federal High Court has exclusive jurisdiction. That is what Section 251 PQRS is talking about. Now, if you are suing and the Nigerian police is there, it's a federal agency, the Federal High Court has exclusive jurisdiction because it's a federal agency that is involved in the suit. You understand? Mm-hmm. Now, if you have Nigerian Customs, the federal agency, the Central Bank of Nigeria is involved. It's a federal agency, so Federal High Court has jurisdiction. INEC, now that is what I'm going to now. INEC is regarded as a federal agency too. So that is why you follow that when people are going to court, they cleverly run to any Federal High Court to exclude the state High Court. But why I say this matter will get to the Supreme Court is this. We have seen litanies of cases, decided cases, where it is stated that if the federal and state high courts have the courts of coordinate jurisdiction, they can as well participate, whether you have a federal agency or you don't have a federal agency, as case may be on this, that they have, concurrent jurisdiction, because they are courts of coordinate jurisdiction, as the case may be. And the matter dragged on. That is why you follow that in most cases, those who are involved in human rights, you follow that when you want to seek redress at times, and the Commissioner of Police is involved, the CP belongs to a federal agency. Most lawyers run to the state high court, and the state high court will assume jurisdiction. You understand? Based on some judgments of court. And the court has said, except and unless the Constitution specifically says that this particular matter bordering on election etc. is exclusive to the Federal High Court. That is where the Federal High Court will have exclusive jurisdiction. Like in this case, Section 272, sub 3. If you look at it, there is any matter that has to do with House of Assembly, the Federal High Court has that. That is why the Court of Appeal acted on that particular platter. So this particular issue now, Federal High Court, State High Court giving orders. What has happened here? And that is why I feel it's dangerous. Is this? We describe it as chikwata. It's neither here nor there. You understand? Okay. Because until and unless they are able to prove that INEC being a federal body, cannot be, okay, the action concerning INEC cannot be brought in a state high court, then they can be okay and go. So it's a balancing act that I feel is 50-50 at the end of the day. It might go to a court of appeal, as the case may be. Don't forget that these orders from the state high court, those from the court of federal high court, certainly will go to the court of appeal for adjudication. But for me, it is always very, very clear, and if it's we can make it very good, to just let the law lie, like what they say, let the sleeping dog lie, and do the needful. How do you vacate an order, get a stay of? You run back to that particular, say you vacate it, you do your whatever quickly as the case may be. If does not grant it, you go to court of appeal, you run that and do your whatever as the case may be. Why that appeal, I mean, the spending and the stay is pending, you run whatever you want to run. That is what I'm saying. So it is a delicate balance between the state high court and the federal high court in this particular case that they have done. I cannot say with finality who is going to triumph, but it's a dangerous adventure.